one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, man, you do something about it, because you can.
We get this story from thehour.com. In a time in which politics has caused significant division, protests have become more common, specifically protests on overpasses. A group of these protesters have faced scrutiny in recent months, getting at least 3 visits from state police. What has followed has been an argument over the right to protest and where that protest can happen. Among these protesters is Katherine Hines, who has taken part in about 30 protests since President Donald Trump took office. Hines filed a formal complaint against the state police, stating that the same officer has visited the group 3 times and alleges the officer's behavior was harassment and, we believe, a violation of our constitutional rights, she said. Now, the Connecticut State Police has disagreed, replying officially to Hines that the trooper was acting in accordance with the law and departmental procedures. No arrests have been made and no discipline has been issued. Based upon articulable facts and circumstances, the trooper had reasonable suspicion to believe that you were engaged in criminal trespass on state property, said their response to Hines. Hines and her fellow protesters have been seen on several overpasses in the New Haven, Connecticut region with signs that say things like "Go Grads, Save Democracy," and "Resistance is not futile." We've only once had the president's name on a sign, said Hines. Mostly they say things that are pretty generic about tariffs or tyranny. Different messages every time. Hines said 3 times so far at the Cherry Hill Road Bridge on I-95 in Branford and the Howard Avenue Bridge over I-95 in New Haven, the same trooper approached her group and requested identification. The first time he said we were violating a DOT regulation. We can't find any regulation. The second time he told us that we were trespassing and we're on a public right-of-way here, she said. The third time, again, he told us we're trespassing and that if we didn't tell him our names and show him our driver's licenses, that he was going to arrest us, said Hines. In its reply to Hines, state police have said that she exhibited a consistently critical demeanor toward his lawful authority, engaged in disrespectful and interruptive behavior, and contributed to the unnecessary prolongation of the encounter. He exhibited patience and professionalism, reflecting the high standards of conduct expected of members of the Connecticut State Police, they said in their response. Hines, however, disagrees. She said Jackson was belligerent and that officers from other local departments have stopped and been far more respectful. Branford police were incredibly helpful and responsive, as have been the West Haven police, said Hines. Now, in response to requests for comment, the Connecticut State Police said protests held in accordance with state law would not be hindered. They say lawful protests may be conducted under under circumstances in which state law is not being violated, said a spokesperson by email. Eva Zamaris, State Department of Transportation spokesperson, said, "There are regulations prohibiting such displays on overpasses." She said, "For any activities on state bridges, roads, highways, and related rights-of-ways, the requesting person or entity must obtain a permit from Connecticut DOT allowing for the activity, providing the associated insurance, and describing other compliance requirements." That was by email. She went on, "Unauthorized disruptive activities on state roadway or bridge can become a public safety issue, which would be appropriate for law enforcement to handle. Regarding hanging any materials on state infrastructure due to safety concerns, such as driver distraction, materials falling onto vehicles or people below, this would not be permitted by Connecticut Department of Transportation, or DOT. That was made clear during Susan Vogel's interactions with police. She's also been involved in overpass protests, though she is not affiliated with Hines nor her group. In Darien, a police officer came by and let us know that we weren't permitted to attach anything to the fence, but that was it, said Vogel. Instead, we've seen them come by a couple of other times when we've been there, and they have just driven past. Other protests have been similarly treated by police, and Vogel has shifted tactics when told something isn't allowed. She said, this idea that you can't attach something, I guess that makes sense, but I know you wouldn't know that unless someone told you. In Darien, when someone said, you can't do that, we were like, okay, we go to plan B, everyone. We had 12 people holding the banner. You find a way to make it work. And that's really what it's all about. You find a way to make it work. I don't know the Connecticut Department of Transportation codes or Connecticut vehicle codes and so forth, so I don't know if they're allowed to do that or not. They hang stuff here all the time in California, signs and whatnot, on overpasses. But when the Hines was talking about how he was demanding ID and so forth, and they said, well, she was being belligerent and prolonged the interaction. I don't know the specific situation, but I will say this. There are times when cops will come up to you and say, I need your ID. Why? Because I'm contacting you, and I have to do a police report, and therefore I need your ID. That's not how it works, bud. Now, I don't know. Is Connecticut a stop and ID state? I didn't think to look that up. California is not. California, for them to require you to give your ID over to the police, you have to be suspected of committing a crime or have committed a crime that you're being investigated for. And they have to have some type of substantial, reasonable, articulable suspicion, not just, well, you know, we got a call and we're investigating, so we need your ID. That's not how it works. So, I don't know, maybe she had a reason to be belligerent. Maybe she had a reason to say, you're not getting my ID. Go pound sand. What do you all think?